I showed you guys the Volt video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
inspiring.
I feel that I know everything about the movement now just by watching that. You know, I also get the feeling too that they couldn't find like they have all the people just like in a weird montage speaking to you. But they couldn't find like one sexy person to like.
I found them all very sexy.
Just like not like authoritatively.
I was inspired
sexy.
and aroused by
I'm a
watching that.
sapiosexual, but just for saying we need to have a unified Europe.
Pan-European.
Anyone who says pan-European just gets me going.
Rightfully so.
Rob, you want me to do pan-European ASMR?
Yeah,
Oh God.
Hi, today
Fucking
we're talking about Federalist Europe and Honest People's Republic.
oh god damn it!
I'm leaving the pod.
Hey, welcome to your weekly corner Späti. We got the full gang here.
Yay.
I am Nick.
I'm Ciarán.
I'm still Julia.
What's up? It's Rob.
Yeah, we're
It's a sleepy Sunday afternoon.
sleepy Sunday
Oh,
afternoon. We're all enjoying German breakfast over here.
Woo! Fuck German breakfast.
Yeah.
I had too much bread.
Yulia, by the way, is back after we didn't mention this at all, but Yulia, because we're so poor, volunteered herself to like be a test dummy for drugs.
For drugs. It was fun.
So she wasn't here for
I was in a hospital for 5 days and I couldn't go outside. It was 30 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And they fed me bread. Just bread. I mean, I'm German. I have an existential crisis now.
Oh god damn it! All right, so today we're talking about a myriad of things.
Yeah.
Everything good, everything positive, keeping the good vibes going.
Yeah. Are we talking about the revolutionary moment in Sudan? No. We talk about the general strike in Brazil? No. Are we talking about the rise of Hindu nationalism in India? No. Are we talking about maybe a right-wing coup brewing in Germany? There was that politician that just turned up dead last week, and there was something in Tots about how like they're just like right-wing groups are telling like soldiers and everybody like, come join us. The revolution is coming. Not talking about that either. We're talking about the important things, and we're also talking about what you fucking hogs, all you listeners. I check the stats. I see you fucking love hearing about the EU. So you know what? That's what we're going to talk about. All right? We're just going to wind Ciarán up and let him go and just go keep talking about the EU.
3 hours later.
This is the most important thing going on in the world. This is democracy in action, folks.
Oh god, I love it. Yeah, we're talking about Volt.
Woo! Hashtag Volter.
A party that got one MEP, but I'm obsessed.
We're devoting an entire fucking episode to a part to this.
Jean-Claude hashtag Volter.
Save it. We'll get to that. All right. So, I fucking, if anyone saw us on a Jack AM stream, Volt got mentioned. I went off because I was mid-research breaking my brain on this shit. And do we have to provide context of who Volt is?
Yes.
Yeah. Volt is this, like, terrifyingly centrist politics without politics party.
The only thing that they have an opinion about is private-public partnerships.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not like the
love
Greens were
that.
bad or any other of these like kind of bougie parties without like a real rooted constituency other than like well-to-do liberals. Volt is the next level, baby.
Yeah, this is like their like final form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
This is Super Saiyan 5.
Well, at least they have a nice color.
yeah, they're they're a purple party.
Yeah.
That is their most principled position.
I mean, like purple is always the
At
color.
least they're very...
Purple's always the color in the U.S. used for just like a state that's just like I don't know. Like,
Actually
so it fits
them,
perfectly.
Yeah.
So let's see. I think we landed on a good way of describing Volt on the Jack AM stream of like Volt isn't important.
No, they're not important at
Not
all.
important at all. I'm going mad.
They're the only thing that give Ciarán a meaning in his life, though, because you need something to chase after.
I need to fill all these spreadsheets with something. And so they're the only. I think the thing that's great about them is they're like the perfect distillation of like bullshit centrist politics. I feel like a lot of bullshit centrist politics can dress it up a lot better or pretend they're something they're not. Volt has gotten rid of all of that shit. It's just like literally in their website at the moment is just, we made it.
Yay!
One MEP.
You know what? I'm gonna spend the episode translating some of this stuff because you guys don't understand how like startups and businesses work. So I'm gonna explain. That's like lean and synergetic. All right.
Yeah.
You can't waste too much time on all that fluff. You got to focus on the facts. You know.
Oh,
we made it.
And to be honest, you've also landed on something accidentally here because they are very much like the startup grift.
Oh yeah.
Like turned into a political party.
They're disrupting the EU.
Do you think they have like beer kegs and like ball playgrounds in their Brussels office?
Oh, probably. They also probably tell all their people who work there of like, yeah, we would like if you stay until 5, but we'll give you free beer afterwards. So please stay until 10 o'clock at night. If
and
you
you feel like you're all friends. Yeah, exactly. You feel like you're all friends with them and shit. He actually
Volt is just one big family.
He actually searched for like people to work in his Brussels office on Twitter. So
fuck.
Who did the
Damian?
Oh, Damien von
Freiherr von.
Oh yeah,
Damien Euronymous von.
Euronymous. Who the fuck?
I can't wait.
Euronymous. So he named himself after a fucking black metal artist.
Damien.
That is cool.
Okay, Damien Euronymous sounds like a fucking like vampire nickname for a chat I was in when I was 12 years old, like playing roleplay and shit.
We're gonna have Julia read his full name here to pronounce it correctly.
Okay.
This is the German MEP from Volt and one of the 3 co-founders.
He's also maybe a black metal musician. We don't add us.
Do you think like the E is actually a Dehnungs-E, so it's like Boselager? So you don't pronounce the E.
Not Böselager.
Yeah,
like,
because he
like,
doesn't.
like angry.
He
camp?
doesn't put the umlaut in, so that's irritating to me.
Okay,
So
well, read it how you would read it then.
Damian Hieronymus Johannes Freiherr von Boselager.
Fucking hell.
This
Oder
sounds
Böselager.
like what Ciarán was saying in the last episode. This sounds like another name generator. Like it's like first name of a Nazi, then like an outdated German slur, and then Fawn black metal band.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, he's got like serious like Austrian name vibes. He's one of the 3 co-founders. I'll get into the co-founders in a bit, I guess. But they just this whole party. Actually, no, fuck it. I'm getting into the co-founders now. The 3 co-founders is Damien Boselager, Andrea Verzon. Let me see if I can get the other one because the other one is the French girl. Her name is Colom Cahen Salvador. Fucking hell.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I didn't stutter.
What's with the names?
These are the 3 people who started this, and they look like scrappy young teens. They look like
Just all happen to be members of the aristocracy.
Yeah.
Actually, fun fact about Damian.
Yeah.
So he calls himself only Damian Boselager, and people asked him, like, there was an interview with him, and they asked him why he's not parading his aristocracy around. And he said, I just got used to it. It doesn't have anything to do that I'm distancing myself from like where I come from, because everyone is born the way they are born.
Yes!
Some people are just aristocratic, so
he's fucking doing like it's Pride Month. I'm not going to apologize for
Exactly.
He just playing Lady Gaga's Born This Way.
People just born aristocrats.
Aristocrat. Fucking hell.
Yeah, really, like shit like Volt and progressive politics in general is just a way to like launder class power into another form. Like, I'm not a rich person. I'm just another young person like you worried about our future. And I have an organization set up. If you join me, together we can do this. And if you just attach these labels like progressive or what's even easier, this like new formation that's like being cultivated, just say, I'm pro-European. I'm progressive. And then you just tick the boxes. And everyone's like, all right, this is politics.
His favorite word is pragmatic, though.
So it's worth pointing out that these 3 fuckers kind of probably all met at McKinsey and Company, which is how are they described? They are a giant American worldwide management consulting firm. You may know them as from such scandals as that time they told Saudi Arabia about all the dissidents and got them all killed.
This is going to take a while. Nick, can you edit in that Green Day song? It's something unpredictable. Well, we just go through the whole history of all of the McKinsey.
Providing information to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE. Support for authoritarian regimes. And classic and big one of all, the 2008 financial crisis.
Everyone needs the Pic de Resistance.
For 8 easy payments of $19.95, these can all be yours on special edition 2-sided discs.
Ongoing South African corruption scandal.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a big... The fucking scandals part of their Wikipedia page is huge. And the great thing about going to the McKinsey Group's website at the moment is just like, we've rebranded. It's like, yeah. Can't imagine why.
That's that fucking that's like that whole like Blackwater tactic. Like, yep, we're no longer Blackwater. We're now
We have a
now
different
called
name now.
Academia or
exactly.
Academy or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, that sounds more.
Oh wait, we're not
trustworthy.
called Academy anymore. We don't exist anymore. We're now a shell company in fucking like Abu Dhabi or something.
Lovely.
But the thing is, like, even if they rebrand, there's still like one of the big 3 consulting firms, and everyone who
Yeah,
wants
it's like them,
everyone who like
Deloitte,
wants to
and
know, like
someone else.
they still hold their clout in that way. Like, you still have like there's still like all the like top schools, at least in the U.S. and I'm sure in other countries, are just feeding into these consultancies to just like go do evil stuff.
In Germany,
all
Yeah,
around
like-
the
Germany,
world.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
like it's amazing
No
how
matter
many
what they're
things-
called.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
Germany you
McKinley,
see like.
Deloitte, and PricewaterhouseCoopers hanging out at Potsdamer Platz. I think all of them.
And just look at how many events they
Coolest
they-
place to hang out in
I
Germany.
know, right?
Hey, fellow Berliners, I'm hanging out in your local Kiez, Potsdamer Platz.
Nobody lives there.
I just go to my local Starbucks here at the Sony Center.
Dunkin' Donuts afterwards.
Oh, God.
But yeah, like if you look at any of the at least like in a German university sense, when you look at the things that are sponsored on campus of like career day and this and that, just at the very bottom it'll be like Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, McKinley, and whatever the fuck it is. Like there is a massive funnel into these as well too in Germany, especially if you study law, just so you can be like, you want to be horrible, like.
Actually,
Come on over.
they have those career days, and they actually like try to get people directly from the universities to like, or already while they are studying.
Yeah,
like,
and
you can work with us.
These
You can write
controversies
your
pages are
thesis.
just like all like it's like kind of like copy and pasted on like every single one of these companies' Wikipedia pages.
It's like an analytics algorithm online. It's we see you're interested in studying law. Are you interested in doing more evil?
How about helping ICE to?
Yeah, so it was weird because I watched the how do Germans pronounce that? Art TV, Arte.
Arte.
Yeah, so that's like a French German channel. They had a documentary on Volt.
We're very
and
proud of that.
It was very positive, and
Seriously.
it was very like from their framing, it was very positive,
Yeah.
but it did like tell on itself a little bit.
Meet the young disruptors, changing how we think about politics. Well, it is like the cultural, like it's like the logical cultural endpoint of everything in Europe. It's sort of like we're going to get this neoliberal structure in place, or it's just going to keep running. And what do we do with our spoils? We're just going to jerk ourselves off and like, oh, the politics is just a sandbox we can play in and watch ourselves disrupt. You know, like tell these young people like, oh, good job, you're really being indoctrinated into the system. We're really proud of you. Like that's it. It just keeps cycling around.
Europe is when you get your rib removed so that you can suck your own dick.
The rib is Russia.
Oh God. So
All right.
yeah, but the little things that they kind of let slip in the documentary are really telling and really good, and they kind of like when they
were shit.
They finally introduce Andrea Verzon, who is like the current president, but he didn't get elected because he was the head of the list in Italy.
Yeah.
No chances there.
Yeah,
No.
they're fucked. I'll get to that a bit in the documentary because it's fucking hilarious. But they introduce him, and they're like, and he was a former consultant for the McKinsey Group. And they're like,
Of course.
cool. And so was Damien Busselaga for like 3 years. And then they also revealed Colombe, the female co-founder and like the policy head for Volt, was like, is Andrea's girlfriend.
Oh, that's cute.
It's something unpredictable.
I can totally
that just like makes me think of like
imagine
those
that. Oh my God.
you know those
It's like a power couple and their best friend.
no, but I
And
imagine
it's-
like one of
Poor
those.
Buzalaga.
Yeah. It's like in Breaking Bad, you know. He
It's
probably
always-
like turns out.
It's like
Make
one of
a
those
mess.
rap songs where it's like one of those rap songs where it's like, yeah, girl, you know, you could be with me, we could be doing all this like crazy hood shit, you know. But that in terms of Europe, like you got to get yourself a ride or die girl to do EU
Oh
policy.
hell yeah!
This is my
Au
policy.
Cologne.
Yeah, so God, like, where do I fucking start with all these guys? So all these three people just like continuously say fucking nothing, and they're absolutely terrible. The documentary also had other great moments in the documentary. Is like the Italian launch of Volt, where they're like, oh, there's so many queues, we didn't predict this. Oh my God! And there's like, we got 500 signatures today. That's great. And then, like, the narrator comes in and be like, but it's a long road ahead because they need 150,000 to run as a party in Italy. And I'm like, yes. Yeah.
Taking one step after another.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. The other one is they revealed so 25% in the whole transparency effort of Volt, they revealed that like 25% of all the money they raise goes towards like media training, because again, that's their view of politics, or that's like the most important thing. And they hire this company, this London-based firm called 89 Up, which is great. It looks really nice, you know. Europe's first impact agency.
Ooh, cool.
I hate when marketing firms call themselves something fucking stupid.
Impact agency.
Impact
Impact
agency.
agency.
Uh-huh.
What the?
Yeah.
That's, I'm a content
I'm
manager.
just like genuinely confused.
That's how it sounds like a euphemism, like a shell company for like a porn studio. Like we're gonna call ourselves an impact agency. No
Oh,
one will
that's
know what we're
definitely
doing.
like that's definitely what like a fuckboy calls his like sex moves.
You gotta have some impact on your.
I'm an ally. I'll give you a lot of agency. Dumb jokes. But like the guy who's there for this company, absolutely fucking terrible guy. He's written articles. I can get his name. He's the CEO of 89 Up. But like he's written absolutely terrible articles, being like Theresa May, the Hillary Clinton of the UK.
and then he dabbed at the end of it, right?
Wait,
And
what?
this is a German person?
No, British.
Oh, okay.
British, of course.
So, but the other thing is that 89 Up is just kind of used this weird. They're like a pro-journalism advocacy group, but they use it for the weirdest things possible. So, if anyone doesn't know, there was this huge scandal in the UK where News Corp, Murdoch's group, were like getting all their leads by having their journalists hack people's phones and like search through their messages and call records and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of legislation was brought in the UK to stop this from happening again. And 89 and Up had to come in with their opinion, being like, this is an attack on the freedom of press.
Wait, what?
But they do it from like a liberal standpoint. It is just like a liberal like bait and switch, where they don't mention at all why this legislation is being brought up, but it is attacking the press, which is technically correct. But like it's stopping you from doing really dodgy illegal shit.
Yeah, that's not a Galaxy Brain take. That's a, you got your ground floor take, like
Yeah.
Murdoch is back, but then once you go up to the penthouse, like floor 89 and up, that's the penthouse take, baby.
Puns.
Murdoch is good, actually.
But he was there giving them like in Amsterdam media training, and like all the shit he was saying was like really awful garbage of just like no matter what question they ask you, you have to bring it back to the point you want to talk about. Like, don't actually answer any real questions. Never go off record with anyone. This is when like Buzalaga asked a question in the audience, being like, so I went out for drinks with a bunch of journalists. Is anything I said like he was like, yes. I was like, he just goes, oh fuck. I really want to find out that little scene. Like everyone's got like everyone in the room laughs, and it's like meant to be a playful moment or whatever. But I'm just like, what did he say?
Yeah.
I really want to know. So that's kind of some of their shit in a nutshell. And there's like one tragic thing from the documentary that I want to bring up later after I go through some other stuff. But any questions, thoughts so far on this wonderful organization.
They sound cool. I've already declared myself king of this organization on Twitter. So
But for the Greek chapter,
for the Greek chapter, yes,
because they don't have one. They
they
should
do have one.
They do have
They
one.
do have one. It only has a Facebook page that has like. Wait, let me check. How many?
300 likes. I have all this information. don't
Yeah,
worry.
Well, they have
it is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen because you go onto their website. So you go onto what Volt Europa,
Yeah.
which could sound like a white nationalist organization.
Kind
Oh,
of.
they're actually doing quite well in Greece. Their Facebook page has 2,033 likes. That's a lot more than the rest.
Oh wow, that is
Seriously?
so impressive.
Yeah. So okay, this gets me into something else that kind of leads into the whole like startup culture weird shit that they do, which is they have a very, very weird social media strategy. So it's very clear if you go through all of the Facebook pages they have for each different chapter, like Volt Estonia, Volt Finland, blah, blah, blah. Everyone in these Facebook groups were given X amount of money to buy X amount of likes. So how it usually works with Facebook is you run these ads, you target them at people, and they promise you a range of likes. And that's why most of the least attended to Facebook pages have in around somewhere between 300 to 400 likes. And it is like clockwork. Some of them even have like the exact same number of likes. Like 2 of them have 351 likes.
They may have 2,000 whatever
Yeah.
followers, but their street team thing
Oh yeah.
only has 37.
Yeah, of course.
Well, there's only 37 people on the street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like an absolute joke.
It's absolute horse garbage. Like there's all of it because some of them, other things about the social media strategy is they were done in for spamming a bunch of subreddits.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why that's a
praxis.
strategy. That is a
This is the thing.
it's not like
They put like way too much belief into social media because
Wait,
it is,
wasn't their whole fucking thing on their thing like, oh, like you're doing activism online? You suck.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like that,
Yeah.
and then they turn around and they'll be like, "Ladies, you're trying to build the perfect European-wide political party."
You get $10.
All right,
in the
you
campaign,
have
they
500
say-
likes. All right, 50 likes, like has a good social media strategy. All right, like 1,000 likes, believes in anything at all. Damn, I always get tricked by this game.
So they got done in for like spamming a bunch of subreddits that like naturally in like things like RDE and R Netherlands and a bunch of countries they were running in, they're like occasionally the conversation will come up amongst actual subreddit like people on the Reddit, like I don't know who I'm voting for. Who do I vote for? What the fuck's going on? And naturally, like the same 3 or 4 people were coming in, being like,
Volt!
Yeah,
Vote.
I should. Okay,
Whoa.
to be fair, 4 per language. So,
Wow.
there was like 4 Dutch people, there was 4 German people, there was 4 like I think they were trying that shit in Belgium as well. So
What
that-
did they speak? Dutch or French or German?
That's the thing too is that like it also like Volt picked a name that then like you were saying can be in every language.
The
Yeah,
idea
that's
behind
true.
Volt is that it's in every language. It was originally, I should mention, they were originally registered as Vox.
Maybe they like really took off in Spain. It was just like
Maybe that we're just a split group of Vox.
they come back like 3 months later. It's like, so what are you guys doing? Well, we're in Parliament right now. We've adopted the very pro-Europe agenda, but by pro-Europe I mean just like Spain and white Spain.
Spain should be Europe.
We should
Europe should be
expand.
Spain.
Well, we're going back to Europe's original identity.
Yeah.
Like Catholic
Inquisition.
monarchy everywhere.
That's that's what we were, right? And they're just like, oh.
Then you don't
like-
even have to worry about like what to say in like Belgium anymore because you can just speak Spanish.
Yeah, Belgium is going back to the Spanish crown. Let's
Exactly.
go.
We have our like 5+1 manifesto, and most of that is just 5 different North African countries we'd like to carpet bomb.
I was going to say this.
plus one extra one.
5+1 challenge.
It's like
we didn't know how to carry. We didn't know how to count the Saharan West Republic.
Yeah, it's like that U.S. plan. Like after they invaded Afghanistan, there was an actual I think it was an actual 6+1 regime change thing. It's like first we're going to go into Afghanistan, then we're going to go to Iraq, then Iran, then Somalia, then Syria, then
and then we're just going to throw a dartboard at a globe.
Yeah, thank you for the deep Howard Dean take right there.
You're welcome. Shout out our American listeners. Yeah, it sounds like their icon would just be like the Nazi Afrika Korps logo, and then instead of a swastika in the middle, it's just like the ring of EU stars. Like, cool,
Nice.
taking it over, baby. And say what you will about the groups of four, but I think the Einsatzgruppen strategy works well. Like, they can get a lot done in their groups.
Definitely.
Oh God. So, all right.
Rob giving us his small input on German military tactics.
All right, going further into the Volt shit and their social media strategy is. So I think we talked about this on the EU episode, and we mentioned this when we were on Jack AM. But their strategy is very much brand recognition. Like you were saying, you found Nick was saying he found them on college campuses where they were just handing out cards that just had Volt written on them.
No, they were just thrown everywhere.
Yeah.
So they're, by the way, they are pro-green policy, and they just littered on campus. That was their promotion. It was just throwing these index cards that said Volt spray painted on them.
Yeah. So it is very much just get your brand out there, and people if people remember you, they might vote for
Remember
you.
the name.
Yeah.
10% luck, 20% skill, 15%, I don't know,
Carpet
social
bombing.
media power of will.
100% shady investment from rich people.
We'll get into that. The last thing about
100% reason you should remember the name Volt.
The last
That's
thing
just good
about their
branding.
social media campaign that I found particularly funny is they really don't know what to do with hashtags. I mentioned to you guys before we started that one of their hashtags is just horny AF.
Again, strategic.
Strategic. One of their hashtag is #Volter, which
I love that one.
yeah, which is the name they give themselves for people who support the movement, but it's also for someone who is a fan of. I think it's Jenny.
Jenny, yeah.
Yeah, Jenny Volt, who is a French porn star.
Europe, baby.
And if you ever just click into the #Volter thing, it is just one follow back pro-European crank from somewhere in the middle of England talking about how great Volt is, and then 20 pics of just porn. Just really good porn.
Really good.
Yeah, Jenny Volt for EU Commission President.
Hell yeah, I would vote for
We're on in this fight. We're on Team Volt.
Yeah, my favorite one, though, that I saw was that dude dressed as Batman.
Oh, yeah.
And it was I'm a Volter now. She made the conference so much better. And I don't know if he was talking about, without the picture, it would have sounded exactly like somebody went to a Volt conference.
Definitely, and then you see the pictures.
They see the picture of him dressed as I guess she was at a cosplay convention, which cool that she's doing the overlap. I don't know who she is, but
Love it.
Batman seems to really like you.
Okay, and now we get into the dodgy shit of where they get their money. So Volt is really, really proud of the fact that they show off their donations, and in all the AMAs they did on Reddit, because again that's how you do politics. Wink, wink. Is fucking...
Take it from an expert. Just message everyone individually. Harder to
I was
track.
about to say, don't we do?
That's some inside baseball right there. So they're doing AMAs, and the German AMA correctly just went off on their dodgy donations that led me down several rabbit holes. They constantly talk about the fact that they're crowdfunded, and the people of the German AMA correctly pointed out, look, you're trying to steal the valor basically of campaigns like AOC, Bernie Sanders, DM25, if anyone knew who they were, kind of thing of when people say crowdfunded, usually it means small donations. And all of those campaigns had a cap on no more than 1,000. 1,000 is the maximum donation that you can make. And this is not the case with Volt at all. You can just go fucking ham with the donations you can give them. They also we're transparent. Any donation above $3,000 will show you the name of. I personally think, I'll get the rest of you guys to weigh in, but grand is like very much too high, the lower limit. Like if someone gave $2,000, I think that's a substantial donation from a single individual.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the government of Italy agrees with me because they kind of like claim on Volt Europa, like, oh, we'll show you all these donations. Aren't we great? We're doing it voluntarily. Italy forces every party to show off €500 or above. So they had to show off all of that. They're not doing this voluntarily because another way they obviously like confuse where their money is coming from is because there is Volt Europa, Volt Netherlands, Volt Italia, Volt Deutschland, and they only have to list the donations given to each of those as separate institutions on the separate websites. So if you want to see everyone who's donated, you have to go to each fucking one of these websites. And they are like, some people are taking advantage of that to like confuse that. And I think they are obeying local laws because a handful of Volt websites that I know their campaigns were reasonably successful, like France, for example, don't show their donations because I don't think France makes you show donations over a certain amount or not.
All of Volt's donations come from Jesse Volt.
I believe that. I would support this party 100% if it's just the political wing of a French porn star.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we had that with an Italian one, so why not?
Yeah, why not? Fuck it. And naturally, there are like chapters that are getting no money because they have just like no success on the ground. But let's go into some of these top donors here.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
before we move on, I just want to point out that Ciarán admitted what we've all been saying. He and the Italian government agree all the time. On everything.
On everything.
Oh god, those Italians. That's a spicy coalition you've got there. All right. So on the top 3 donations, or like 3 of the top 5 donations are coming from this one guy called Christian Oldendorf, who is the son of like a Hamburg shipping magnate.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mentioned
Nice
Hamburg, Robs. And it's this weird venture capitalist company that he runs called Amplifier Lab. And this is where I think a lot of the weird tech shit in Volt's manifesto comes from.
Probably.
Because all the stuff they talk about is like really, really, really buzzwordy.
Using new technologies.
Yes, yes.
They really like that one.
In one of the AMAs, I think it was like the Dutch AMA, they came this fucking close to saying we're going to put Europe on the blockchain.
I mean, I'm in. I don't know what it does.
I think everything should be run by blockchains.
Yeah.
It has no social value, so I'm cool. Like, let's go for it.
Like
You know, Marx talked about the dictatorship of the proletariat. We want the dictatorship of the blockchain.
Yeah, I agree.
That's 21st century solutions.
Definitely new technologies. #new technologies.
one of the 6 points in their manifesto is literally called the smart state.
Hashtag smart state.
Where like they want to put like healthcare on an app or whatever. And the entire thing is just like an incoherent looking for angel investment rant. And that kind of explains where they're getting their money from as well, because also littered in here is a bunch of like startups that gave money to this project that now, since they've given money, have gone defunct and no longer exist.
Oh,
Yeah, possibly because-
fascinating.
Possibly because
I mean, it's
like,
a tough word out there for startups.
yeah, right?
Sure, they're not like those shell companies that just like.
Oh no, they're in here too.
Oh, okay.
That's a separate thing.
Oh,
Because basically, you're always able to, like, especially when in the Netherlands, you can always find an address for these companies, and Google Maps will tell you what used to be there. Because it will be like, this was a business that was here, now permanently closed, kind of thing. So you get that. But then there's also just like, yeah, there's this thing called MMM Driesman, which donated €8,200 to the Dutch chapter. And that's just a post box in Belgium with an inactive VAT status.
Oh, nice. Briefkasten.
It's literally one of the top 20 donors to this fucking party is a post box. So
Very rich postbox.
very wealthy, very well-to-do post box. A post box with a monocle on it.
Oh.
I know, right? That is cute. That's too cute for the likes of this. One of the other big donors, like I said, okay, going back to Oldendorf, Christian Oldendorf, he donated as the top donor in one donation 95 grand to the German party. But he also donated 25 grand to the European party. And from what I can tell, although this is a little fuzzy, 25 grand to the French one. So that's a fucking whopping total right there. We also have another guy called Klaus van Loope, who is...
That's a funny name.
Party.
Yeah, that's why he donates, because his son's in the party.
I'm just seeing a lot of supportive dads
I know.
and sons here.
It's a Georgian
I
dream.
see
again.
that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is
Hey, Dad,
beautiful.
if you're listening to us, please write us a check for $95,000.
That'd be great. Yeah, Klaus van Loope gave, in one donation to the German chapter, 20 grand. He's managing director for Hanover Finance GmbH.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, he basically donates because of his son, but he also donated another additional 10 grand to the Deutschland Party because he owns a small company called Procuda, which apparently just exists to send money to political parties. So there we go. That's great. Other fun people in here is a person who donated 10 grand to the Italian party, Antonio Belloni.
Seriously.
It's Belloni, not Belloni.
They gave up with making up all these fake names and fake companies. Like they just
Tony Baloney.
and this is why it's great that Germans are racist, because the Germans are just sitting there being like, "Fuck, what are we gonna call our Italian donor? Fucking baloney."
Tony Belloni, Sylvia Pizza. God, I'm hungry. No, Antonio Belloni. It's another rich guy who
Tony Baloney.
Tony Belloni, another rich guy. He's managing director of LVMH, formerly of Procter & Gamble. LVMH, if anyone doesn't know, is like one of the biggest companies in Europe because LVMH stands for Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I read
Yeah.
about that. Yeah,
So
of course.
I've also looked into this. This is a common tactic with LVMH because their shareholding board is so pan-European that when they want to support political parties, and like usually countries have rules being like you have to be Italian to donate to to an Italian party.
Get Tony Baloney.
Yeah, you get Tony Baloney on the line.
Nice.
Or if you want to support a French party, we got one of them. We got a Polish lad. This has been a strategy for LVMH for a long time. A lot of people from the McKinsey group, and it's hard to tell whether they're just actually trying to influence things or whether they're just like mates with the people running the party who have a lot of money. Because like there's this one guy called Marco Dondi who donated 5 grand, and he's like, again, a managing director of the McKinsey and Company group. Yeah, it's just an entire shit show. Another company that I think is just permanently closed, based in The Hague. Yeah, so that is just, those are the individual donors and also company donors. Oh, also, this is something that I always see sold in like men's interest shops, but I don't know anyone who owns them. And I have to bring it up now because it's coming up. Let me see if I can find it again. Yeah, okay. Does anyone own a Secret wallet? Does anyone know what that is? I'm sure you've probably seen it in shops before.
I'm assuming it's some type of wallet.
Yes.
Does it have the little coin purse?
No, it's those wallets that basically just like when you press a button, all your cards like slide
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, you've seen those. They're always like the weird like impulse purchase things in like.
Is that how magicians do the trick?
Exactly.
We're going to disrupt the magician industry.
They're actually a big Dutch company, and they gave like 20 grand to this.
Okay, so what does this have to do with a pan-European movement?
I have no.
Well,
fucking
okay,
They own
Nick,
a lot of
you
cars.
asked, but this is the most European thing I've ever heard. You got like a shipping magnet, you got a magician, you got some guy named like Tony Pajamas, and like that's Europe, baby. They're coming together over their shared values.
I also kind of like forgot to mention the second biggest individual donation to the party was 35 grand made by someone called Lupa Ratatazzi. This was to the Italian party.
That's a normal name. You can't laugh at a normal
Sorry,
name.
I know it is.
Lupa.
Okay, true. Lupa gets a giggle.
Yeah,
All
no,
right,
that
I
was
take
a
that
giggle
back.
because Google Translate, when was working on the Italian websites, just kept calling him Wolf Ratatazzi. And I was like, what a cool name! Not realizing that his name had been translated.
Yeah, Lupo, yeah.
So this was one thing as well that when we were on the Jack stream, Kate asked if the airlines were involved. Turns out they are.
All right.
Lupa Ratatazzi is on the board of a airline called Neos, which basically is for rich people and operates in the like northern part of Italy. But that's burying the lead a little bit. That was the first thing I found out about him, because his last name throws it away. But he's a member of the Agnelli family, which is just this weird family that has been rich and successful in Italy since the year 400 AD. They've got a family crest. They own everything in the form of a holding company called Exor, which is Fiat Chrysler, Ferrari, The Economist, controlling share of The Economist. And they're like one of the biggest donors to this party.
So they're the George Soros of Italy then.
Yeah, the Agnelli family, except
They're not Jewish.
they're all really sexy as well. They're like really stereotypically Italian sexy, like really well-made suits, and they're just like have Ferraris. Yeah. No, I can't. Yeah, but they also have a family crest, and they are like half of them have definitely murdered their brothers and sisters on a ski slope to get the inheritance.
Wait,
That's just
what?
normal Italian
Wow.
praxis right there.
That's just like that's okay. Parody. Not actually true, but still, you get that vibe from this family. Yeah, so that's the donors. That's the class of people we're dealing with. So that kind of tells you the nature of how much
There
like
are never any conservative conspiracies against these people.
I know, right?
You haven't been reading Jan Fleischhauer.
The Italians.
It all goes back to the Italians.
But yeah, these guys.
Mamma mia, they control the Europe.
These guys should give you an indication of like how not threatening this party is to the status quo. Like, other than the policies, we could all tell that. But, you know, there are some people who, like, I've seen on Facebook who have genuinely been duped into thinking this party is going to make any substantial change in Europe, in Germany, wherever.
I see people in like left circles in Berlin, I have to say usually not German, who are like, yeah, Volt sounds kind of good. I don't know much about them.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, there isn't much to know.
so
Also,
can we go into the like their whatever
program?
like policies they do have?
You mean the PPP?
We can sit here forever
Sorry.
and talk about all the shady people behind it.
yeah. Also, there's two other things I want to do about funding, which is, first of all, George Soros is actually involved.
Hey, woo!
Why not?
Glenn Beck, get that chalkboard out.
He funds them through the Open Society Foundation.
Oh, yeah, of
That's
course,
a big,
yeah.
Yeah, so they received a €19,191 donation
Come
from him.
on,
Didn't that one-
George.
They
Like,
get an even 20.
Hey, wait! Didn't that like headquarter relocate to Berlin or something to
Yeah.
Germany now
Yeah,
because they're
yeah.
not too welcome in
Hungary
the East
anymore.
Hungary, yeah,
anymore?
they got
Yeah,
kicked
in Hungary.
out.
Yeah, not only like that one.
Then the other thing that I should mention briefly is another source of revenue for these guys is Gofundme campaigns.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I do too. Like when my father makes makes his fucking millions from like one of the most exploitative industries in shipping and like just gives me a ton of money, then I still go on and be like, yeah, hit up my Venmo, please. I'm trying to start a shitty new EU party. Thanks.
Trust fund kids.
You know, you always got to be hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's give you some numbers here. As far as I can see, 17 GoFundMe campaigns. The reason GoFundMe is the platform of choice is because, unlike Kickstarter, GoFundMe is not all or nothing. If you don't make the goal, you still get to keep the money. And also, GoFundMe, you can keep the campaign running. Like, they don't have to set a deadline.
Oh.
So none of these have actually closed. They're all still active. But at time of recording, only one... only one has actually made its goal. The average percentage of towards goal is 32.4%. That's like
Ciarán running the
fucking
numbers.
nothing. I'm running the numbers. It is stupid. The other thing I should mention is that the average donation on some of these campaigns is buck wild. Like, basically, because GoFundMe does tell you how many people have donated. Let's see. For the Amsterdam General Assembly, where they like announced their policy positions, that big, they fundraised for that. They got 40% of the way there, and they got 40% of the way there on a €10,000 goal from 18 donors, making the average donation over €200.
Wow.
Yeah, this is buck wild. Some of it makes more sense, like the Luxembourgish ones have the highest average donation because Luxembourg is a joke of
Very
a country.
on brand.
Yeah.
Isn't Party registered there too?
Oh yeah, the whole headquarters of Volt is registered in Luxembourg.
Makes sense.
Woo! To let you know how fucking else this could be a bit
How
more
transparent and all that other type of shit that they
transparent.
are.
Again, nothing more European than being registered in Luxembourg. This is-
Yeah.
Oh god. Do we actually want to go through their policy positions because it is very weak?
We should, because some people out there are like, yeah, why not Volt? I don't know. They maybe
Yeah.
even voted for them.
So the thing that makes me happy about the like AMAs that I did actually see where like the Volt candidates would go into like the subreddits and be like, ask me anything, is that the grift isn't working for a lot of people as well. Like we've encountered people who've been duped by this, but I'm also seeing people who see right the fuck through it.
Yeah.
I was also at like a reading group in Berlin recently, and as soon as I mentioned that I was deep diving into Volt, everyone was like, "Fucking Volt!" They were all
But like they have more seats than DM25, so
yeah.
it
So-
kind
They
of
also
works.
had significantly more money than DM25 did.
Yes.
too.
Yeah,
Like,
because they have all
that-
those nice donors.
That was very obvious if you were on the ground in Berlin as well, because like they were the first people to put up their posters. They were all well made, like decent graphic design on the whole shit, like strong brandings. That's all they
Did
care
you
about.
see the thing about like the new technology thing? Because he was designing, he let a computer design one of his like posters. So, and he said, okay, this is what I'm doing because new technologies are important. And so it's a video of Damian,
Yep.
like letting a computer design his like
Good job, Damian.
poster.
Good job.
I don't know if they put it up. I don't know how great that computer was doing.
Damian.
Clearly worked because, baby, he won his seat.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So they had a lot more money. They were just very aggressive on the ground about this kind of shit. But yeah, the policy positions. Let's go. Number 1, smart state. This is the one that we already
Technology.
briefly mentioned already, which is just like a long, rambling, weird, shitty startup pitch.
Are these all with hashtags in front of them too?
Again, this is what Lenin said.
Should
You
be.
seize the state and make it smart. Volt is applying.
That
I
is
see why all the
exactly-
leftists like Volt.
Oh, so Marxist Leninist. I knew it.
So let's not talk about that one. It's dumb. It's really dumb. Like, technological solutions to problems imply that the problems were technological in the first place, which they weren't. Okay, number 2, economic renaissance.
Oh, Renaissance.
Yeah, here we
That
go.
sounds convincing.
And this is where we get into like the Macron shit. They were big fans of Macron when they started, before it became
course.
very obvious that Macron was not going to be popular or good. They've scrubbed all of that. I had to use the fucking Wayback Machine to find out that the like blog.
So they rebranded. Just
They
like
rebranded, yeah. They had a blog section that was really extensive at one point, and now there's like 3 entries in the blog section of just like, we got mentioned in The Guardian, isn't that cool? They used to have like way more shit to mine in there, but it's very hard to get nowadays. All right, economic renaissance. Will I just read this?
That's
You
just
guys-
like
Yes, please.
what-
I want
like,
to hear it.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. European economies need to become the engine of society's progress and allow for decent living standard for all. For this, we established 3 key levers: rebuilding economically challenged areas, fostering leadership in innovation,
That's always good.
startup shit again,
Innovation.
And
Disruptive innovation.
and pushing for the EU to become a social union. Okay.
A socialist
None
union.
of this means anything. God, I keep
Wait,
getting
a
mad
socialist
whenever you
union.
mention these. Wait, unless they mean that then the EU SSR, then they don't mean anything.
Of course they don't mean anything.
Oh God!
All right, but have you considered that if we just fill Eastern Europe with like thousands of like co-working spaces and startup hubs,
WeWork.
Yeah.
incubators,
They already have those.
That's going to be great. I know, but
They do.
But
Volt,
more.
Volt just
We
wants.
need
That's
more
the real renaissance.
institutions. That's all they need. More institutions.
That's their economic policy. Is just that drivel.
Hang on, there's more.
Oh, okay,
but
cool.
Privatized institutions.
Yeah.
This requires
Like 3 asterisks. Like, by the way, all this is going to be extremely privatized.
Yeah.
This requires innovative policies to reduce bureaucracy, tackle unemployment, revive innovation, invest in smart and sustainable productivity and trade, and create a unified European social and fiscal system.
Sounds like a fucking Wall Street Journal article.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think it's going to come up again, let's go on the rant that we went on Jack AM about, you particularly went on, Nick, about public-private partnerships.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like the one thing that they like.
Of course.
The only thing that they have an actual policy about is the relationship to PPPs, and they're like, these are cool.
I know with most things they like don't give a fuck, and then when it comes to public-private partnerships,
They're very
like,
explicit.
They're like,
about it.
a man's got to have a code. You know, that's the only thing. The only thing you have in this life is your word, and I will go to the death defending the public-private partnerships.
Yeah,
What?
which is one of the most like atrocious things that
Oh, yeah.
the European Union props up, because it's just a scam.
Yeah.
It is a neoliberal scam that then typically is then through, like, you see this in the U.S. with like Puerto Rico, with the rebuilding of it, where you have just like
Yeah.
these tenders that are just given off to the lowest bidder and shit like that. That's one example of it. And a lot of like the BER not being built is because of public-private partnerships. Like, these are horrible. They're neoliberal bullshit things. You end up with either projects that don't get done, or they get done so cheaply and shittily that the people that they're supposed to affect end up worse off because of it. Whatever it is that they're trying to do, and this is just stereotypical neoliberal bullshit, so that then they can have the state open up markets for them and they can just profit off of it.
course,
And that is it. And that alone should be enough to tell you that this party is a massive heap of dog shit.
Yeah.
Just that one policy that the only policy that they actually are passionate about, which is just neoliberalism.
I mean, they feel quite strong about peace in general, because every time they have an interview, they say they are pragmatic, progressive, and pan-European.
the PPPs.
PPPs.
Private partnership. Yeah, the word pragmatic should always fucking make you run for the hills when you hear it from the party.
Exactly.
Yeah, the other thing is like with PPPs is like the other one, not the stupid Volt campaign slogan, is that like they often tend to make services more expensive and worse.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty much what happened to like trains in the UK, the privatized water system that happened in Paris, which they like immediately got rid of because they were like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neoliberalism makes everything more
Also,
expensive.
I mean,
and
the
this is-
trains in Germany, like Deutsche Bahn, is
when
Yeah.
Deutsche Bahn-
That's
Also
the thing too,
privately
is that
run.
like, because this is kind of a little bit off topic, but there was a discussion. There's a bizarre op-ed that I read in Die Welt about from who I thought was just a random person who ends up being like the daughter of one of the biggest real estate magnates in Germany, or construction magnates. It doesn't make a difference. She was very much like trying to perceive herself like, I'm just a young entrepreneur, and my dad got me my job, and you know,
and my own
That's
political
how that
party.
works.
her argument was always about how the state just made Deutsche Bahn worse, but it actually wasn't that. It was neoliberalism. It was exactly this. It was exactly this type of, state market interaction. And there is something that then libertarians, which I'm just going to use this ideology as libertarian in that sense, that use this rhetoric of the state that then they make it everything worse. But it's always in their favor. So it's like, it's always this, and if anyone's like, the maybe one or two books I'll ever suggest on this entire podcast to get just like a good, run through of this is David Harvey's A Brief History of Neoliberalism. Explains this breakdown of the state market relationship probably better than, and maybe not better than everyone else, but in a very concise, it's like 150 pages. Or
Better
whatever.
than us four.
Better than us four
Egypts.
could ever do it. And
Yeah,
David Harvey's
yeah.
a pimp, and he kind of goes through the history and goes through then, like the political, economic realities of it. So if you want to know more about just the general history of how all this shit is so bad and why someone like Volt or any of these parties who profess this as their only ideology that they care about, or why things like Grenfell Tower happened, or why things like Flint, Michigan are happening, it all comes down to this ideology that is so deeply entrenched. Because we use the word neoliberalism a lot, but it is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
It's
should
our
know what
it's
it
our
is.
N-word.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, social equality. And this is probably the shit they push the most.
That's a tall, hefty order, but
Yeah.
go on.
This is the shit they post the most to like make people think they're a genuinely decent left option. In 2018, no one should still be left behind. Everyone in Europe has to be guaranteed equal rights and opportunities, and human rights need to be respected, applied, and upheld. Ignore all that human rights violations the EU is doing, it's fine. To achieve this aim, we are introducing groundbreaking and holistic policies that tackle all types of inequalities and discrimination that aim to alleviate poverty, to include everyone in society and provide access to basic needs that emphasize a person's right to their own body. That was written by a machine. That end line really makes you feel like it was written by a machine.
Just get some buzzwords in about social equality.
Sometimes have access to your own body.
I have access to my own body.
But it is like, okay, we got like 20 like vaguely socially progressive paragraphs, and this machine spit out a new one.
Exactly.
Where it's like, okay, most of this is good. It's mostly talking about like, you know, financial equality, yada yada. Where did this one line about abortion get in here?
It's like, oh yeah, just slip that in
right
there.
to their own
People
body.
are very like feeling strong about that right now, so just like,
let's throw that in there, even though we were not talking about it before. It's like someone was going on a speech and then like got reminded halfway through in their earpiece that this is about abortion. This is a pro-choice rally.
Definitely.
But the access to basic needs is probably the most fucking telling line there. Of just that's always the way they frame it.
Well, you have the access. You
have
can,
access.
You can.
Technically,
You don't have to be poor.
Technically, everyone could have €500 on them.
Exactly. Well, people are just born this way, or what is what you said?
Everyone should have access to an abortion for €300.
Yeah, exactly.
Germany. All right. So that was the social equality chapter. Global balance, number 4.
Oh, we're still going? Well, okay, the global balance is interesting because they're like social equality. They say everyone should have everyone should have access to a decent living. And then they mentioned, they didn't mention it there, but in so many of their tweets and posts, they're like, we're just all about Europe and Europeans.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I'm curious. I have no idea what Ciarán's going to say. But how does the global picture come in for this very, not just Europe, the European party?
Are they an internationalist group?
In today's interconnected world, and given the recent developments in the international policy arena.
Strong start. It's like any sort of excuse. It was really complicated. Just gotta say that just from the jump.
Europe needs to assume responsibility for its role in global challenges. These challenges include topics such as climate change, international fair trade, sustainable farming, food security, biodiversity, migration issues, and international development cooperation.
In Venezuela.
This challenge seeks to establish policies in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so they're very good at skirting the language there, but from what I've seen in the AMA, it is that like fucking China and Brazil and BRICS are fucking gunning for us, guys. We need an empire, Coke party, Macron, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very that kind of like role. They also support like a European army.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't really have any answer for like the Mediterranean at the moment. They say like, oh, let migrants in, but they don't really have any like criticism of like Frontex.
They actually quoted someone. I saw it on his Twitter, on Damian's Twitter, and it was something like, a word without borders is a desert. A word with borders is a prison. A word with open borders is, I don't know, paradise or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that was interesting. That was quite nice.
What is this free-form poetry night shit?
Yeah, seriously. No, it was like some quote from some guy in 2009, I think.
God.
I don't know. Yeah, I found that very fascinating.
A world without borders is a desert. No, some countries are a desert and you trapped a bunch of people in there.
Exactly.
Wait, but what? I don't get it. What's his point?
I don't get it either.
But he says open borders are
nice.
Are nice.
And then
but no borders is bad?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure like the actual left stance would be open borders while they could be problematic in like some short run, having no borders is good. That's
well,
kind of
actually,
the goal.
Because open. Wait, no, hold up.
So he's kind of admitting
I-
we want just the bad intermediate part with the open borders.
Yeah,
of
so
course,
this is the thing. It's all comes down to Volt being a neoliberal party because they only care about borders in the sense of a legality that then they can provide for capital.
Exactly.
And the movement of labor and the movement of poorer people into your country for neoliberalism is kind of actually a big thing that's a discussion within the left of then, how do you then deal with that in terms of like a national working force, which is a discussion that should probably happen depending on which country it is. However, I agree that this is just like this is a dog whistle for like we like all the shit that then the nation state has with doing its shit, but we also like that it can be really expletive.
Yeah, exactly. So that actually plays like into the same thing that they are for a European like Arbeitsamt, like an employment agency, like a European-wide one to regulate actually that we have open borders among the EU. Also, they want a European immigration agency. So they want it all like regulated by one, organization like the EU. So
Sorry, I was in the other room getting a snack. What was their opinion about Frontex?
Oh, like basically they don't have any. Like they'll talk.
Yeah,
about...
well, they want a fucking
I've never
European
heard of
army,
that.
so they
I mean, I
want a
European army too, the one that like the Slovakian Communist Party wants, which is like
for defending the revolution.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we got to be specific here.
Well, this is the thing. Like, that's what I was saying. Is that they're kind of for migrants and they do the refugees welcome lip service, but they don't have any criticism of how the EU might actually be involved in this problem. They don't say anything about Frontex. They don't say anything about what's happening in the Mediterranean. And like our hand in it. It's just.
Well, actually, he made a comment on that on Twitter. Yeah, I dived into his Twitter.
Yeah, go for it. It's mostly in German. I can't.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I did that.
Yes.
So
teamwork.
Yay. So it's kind of like it's under this quote that I just quoted. It says. We condemn what is happening in the Mediterranean Sea, but at the same time, we need to regulate this shit. Like we can't let everyone in.
It's a very I'm not racist, but
yeah, exactly. Oh, people are dying, but you can't let everyone in.
But that's good, maybe.
Parties like, and I don't know what the only one I know that is like Die Linke, who has an actual party policy about this, is that they acknowledge that. It is like the refugee crisis, again in quotes, is the responsibility of just bad foreign policy, of just decades and decades of bad foreign policy. They're the only party I think who's actually come out and said like, yeah, we have a position about the humanitarian crisis that then Europe has, which isn't even actually one, because if every fucking country just did their part, it would have ended up a lot easier than it did. But the fucking dipshits like the Visegrad and whatnot just had to be dumb, or like the Baltic nations were just like, oh, we have no migrants and god damn it, we sure as hell aren't going to take any in.
Oh, the Baltic state, they already have migrants and they're Russian.
Yeah, so they got their own fucking
definitely don't belong here.
Yeah. So like the thing of the matter is that then like the thing that then is keeping all these countries back obviously is the nation state and this dumb fucking neo-nationalistic idea of that. But they're like, you can't look at this problem without looking at the sense of just like it being an extension of militarism. Like you have to critique both. Like in the fact that they're just like, well, we need a military, we need to regulate this, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and never actually acknowledging the fact of what the Syrian civil war was. Actually, is also a big red flag that should go up.
Actually, they said that they want to like give secure Fluchtrouten.
Passage,
to Europe. That mostly means that you have to, like, a lot of the times that means you have to apply, when you're still in your country. So
a lot of these people don't have passports.
Exactly. So, yeah, they want to give, like, legal ways to come to Germany. But that is like, oh, yeah, why didn't you apply for, asylum or something like that?
You didn't follow our just beautiful bureaucracy that then is going to entrench you into a system you can't get out of because... Oh, you happen to have a Palestinian passport? Good fucking luck getting anywhere. That's not our fault that you're from a country that then we don't recognize.
Exactly.
Like, fucking get better at this. Oh, you're Kurdish? Ah, shit, I'm
What
sorry.
is that?
What is that? What is that country? Oh, you mean Turkey? Oh, you mean Syria? Oh, no.
You mean Iraq?
So, fuck,
Sorry.
this is breaking my fucking brain. Again, this is, okay, going back to like the migration thing, what you guys are talking about, and like, oh, we need to have a process and we need to apply, blah, blah, blah.
German mindset.
Yes.
Of course, we need a process for everything.
But this is the thing, like, that again, the real ones and the fucking AMAs pointed out. So they did the typical thing in the Ask Me Anything where they'll like respond to one genuine question, give their spin on it, and then when everyone had like replies being like, that's not true, or that's weird, or any other reply, they just didn't reply to that. They didn't reply to any criticism, basically.
Oh, good one.
People pointed out very clearly on the real ones in the AMAs that these guys aren't fucking offering anything that there's already other parties doing this. Like, what you described there is the current way EU asylum like operates. Like entire islands in Greece have just been like sequestered to fucking operate this way, like giant camps to like time for the application process. It will take somewhere between 5 minutes and 3 years. So welcome to Lesbos, I guess. But not the part that you're allowed in. That's for tourists. You can stay here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, a friend of ours who was there was saying that they were giving different prices for refugees.
Yeah.
And it was always more.
Yeah.
Fucking great. All right, number 5. Citizen empowerment.
Citizen, I already
we're back to the good people again that we're empowering.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The rest of the globe that's just still so stunning, that quote.
Not refugee empowerment.
Citizens.
Europeans should be empowered to take informed political decisions, be able to influence politics beyond elections alone, and exercise
Kickstarter, baby.
You should be able to tweet.
and exercise their democratic rights within vibrant, resilient, and highly deliberative democracies. Our policies are based on best practices regarding
Best practice.
It's just fucking gibberish.
Wow. No,
This is the thing that always pisses me off because people always compare Volt to DM, and it's like if you go through DM's things of like, you know, their idea then of democracies, it's like a very like broken down thing about trying to like localize democratic action, and there's a plan for it and all this stuff. And so if you make this comparison, fuck off. Like you don't know what's going on in your own life, like let alone to make an opinion about which party's better. Because there's a clear difference on these two small parties.
All citizens should be able to touch base with their elected officials and be able to form some first steps about how to go forward as a country.
All citizens should be able to kiss their local representatives on the mouth whenever they want.
That's way too much of a policy.
That is way too much.
Roll that back. Roll that back.
I don't know which
can call
offices
your
you work
governor
in.
or
I've never heard
something.
that one in the HR emails.
You can tweet a kiss emoji at them. Okay, sorry. Our policies are based on.
I am the concurrence of Volt. My only policy position that I'm very passionate about is kissing your local representatives on the mouth.
Our policies are based on best practices regarding the fostering of pluralistic information and media landscape, tools and technologies for political engagement and empowerment. This is still the same sentence. And ways in which democracies can be made to thrive.
That's the shit you write like in your thesis when you still have to add like some
Up the word count.
Yeah,
Screw
exactly.
Flanders 20 times.
Exactly.
For an additional 40 words.
This is honestly melting my brain. This is like Ciarán is like reading from the like indecipherable script at the end of 100 Years of Solitude, and it's going to end like that book did. I won't spoil it for anybody.
I found the fucking Nemonomicron here. Like, all right, and then this is not
With much less race science.
This is not policy number 6, but policy
Plus one, baby.
Because you always need a +1.
Yeah.
Let me guess. Is it like Europe is cool?
It's kind of like a Macron take.
EU reform.
Yes.
Here we go. The European Union is our common project. We have managed to come together and build a union that has ensured peace and prosperity for over 60 years.
We have won the Nobel Peace Prize together. All of us.
Woo! Okay. Yet it has its shortcomings. Which is why we want to reform and strengthen EU governance. So you know that absolute bitch over there. Yeah. What if she was like more? More of that.
It may be anti-democratic. It may just be it may be killing migrants by the thousands, but it's still my man.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, but it's just that it has its shortcomings, but we need to like strengthen it. Did you know that boat with the hole in it? Yeah, what if the boat was bigger? That doesn't really. What if like more people could drown on it? All right.
Is this boat also filled with refugees?
Which is why we want to reform and strengthen EU governments and institutions for a more democratic, more transparent, and stronger Europe. A federal Europe. And we propose concrete policies for more efficient EU...
They haven't. They're liars. They're big fat fucking liars.
Like the concrete... This is like...
By concrete, they mean a wall around Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortress Europa will once again be...
5,000 trillion tons of concrete in the Mediterranean.
We just need concrete...
That's our concrete policy.
We need just...
That's actually what they're talking about. Sorry.
We need concrete, tall... barbed wire plans about what we're going to do.
Fill the Aegean Sea with alligators.
Greece is Florida.
Greece is Florida.
And Turkey.
And Turkey.
But this gets at something that I was thinking about from last week when we read that excellent Der Spiegel article about Europe and how good it is. But a lot of the pro-European, especially, I feel like it parallels like a way of thinking that actually was like in the US around the 1970s, because it's sort of like the state, well, Europe has a way out because of this like EU and this like potential federalist project. And they say like the state, our individual states, like we are like sinful. We create war with each other. We're corrupt.
They're Catholics.
But exactly.
Yeah.
They like project into this like together, into this like better, higher power together. Like it's a clean slate and we can start over. But like the problem with Austria is that you're taking your sinful ways in your country and now you want into this like sacred club. But we have to purify ourselves in this greater project. And it's sort of like that's the way they talk about this whole thing.
This is exceedingly Catholic.
This is way too Catholic.
Exactly. It's European. That's what it's all about.
So, yeah, those are the policy proposals. And I get, like, there's one last thing I want to talk about in terms of Volt, which is... two last things, because one last thing I want to say about their social media strategy is they had a big tactic of misrepresenting like all the other parties. Nice. And there was something that like everyone commented on. They like said DiEM25 was very top down and like
no, they are.
Yeah, and anti-democratic.
What?
Yeah, and
they sat around in a circle with us, and everyone could join the discussion.
They took me to dinner.
They took Nick to dinner.
Democracy is taking Nick to dinner.
Yeah. No, like, but to be fair though, like the thing, I would say the biggest problem about DiEM25 is that they're too democratic. Like that when you go to one of their meetings, or not even a meeting, but you go to like one of like their like panel discussions, and they're like, everyone can join in. Like, if you have a question, just sit your ass down, and we'll get to you, and you'll have a forum, a place on this forum, and you get up like a bunch of like weirdos, like just straight up like people talking about like weird spirituality and shit like that, and it is like they need like. I don't know. Given it's a small venue, it's a small event. I guess you're not gonna vent this process better. But it does take away from the discussion of like actual serious policies. So, yeah, no. Like, also, thank you DiEM25 for taking me to dinner that one time.
Yeah.
That was very nice. And yeah.
Nick's part of the big political machine now. You get taken to dinner once, and now he's just.
Oh no, I had to pay for myself if they invited me. I guess that's
okay, yeah, that's phrased better. Another one, like again. The comments all underneath this shit was just like...
They wanted all that G money that I get.
All the comments underneath these things were just like, that's not true at all. They also did this for the German Greens, theoretically, because they were like, we're the only ones who want a circular economy. And someone was just underneath being like, here's the circular economy.
Circular economy, circular firing squad economy.
It's funny. It's funny, actually, because they joined the Greens now, didn't they?
Yeah. They've joined the Greens.
I mean, the one seat. The one.
They have such just rap beef mentality. I really like it.
Which is really funny because at the same time, one of the big scandals that the McKinsey group was involved with was giving all that dissident information to the Saudi Arabian government that they scraped from Twitter. Wow. And then the Saudi Arabian government went and murked most of those people. And that caused the Greens group in the European Parliament to denounce the entire company of the McKinsey Group. And
Well,
now
funny.
And now they've let the political wing of that fucking company into the party.
Well, yeah, it's
We're just doing our
fascinating.
job.
They should have joined either, like they.
It's very telling that the two options that like the very top down nature of the internal, like they gave an open vote about it, and it's very telling that the internal structure within Volt was like, we're only giving you these two options.
Yeah.
Which even theoretically, if you take all these like groupings in the European Parliament at face value, like why are we having ALDE and the Greens theoretically? If these are the two options, shouldn't the S&D be in between those two? Like if we're admitting that our movement is somewhere in the range between Greens and ALDE, then in the middle should be S&D.
Yeah,
like why
true.
isn't that an
Yeah.
option?
Yeah, because if you go with the German Greens, it's kind of like you're having the FDP just with like some.
They are just riding. They're riding high a movement. I
Yeah.
guess the
I think that they just joined it because they want to like take the
You
take
get all
some
the
of the
kids.
clout. Yeah,
You get all the
exactly.
kids.
From
Purchase,
Fridays for
yeah.
Future and stuff like that. Because like, look,
Exactly.
we're doing something, even though their economy is
Future
just still like,
voters.
you want a green economy? That's great. We at Volt too want a green economy. A green economy for Europe. A green economy for a greener Europe. Vote Volt.
green innovation.
But
I think it is the color of money.
It's,
Yeah.
I think it even goes deeper than that in the sense that like if you consider yourself a good, nice person, you vote for the Greens in Europe,
Yeah.
even if they're fucking shit.
Yeah.
You sort
I
your
can be a
trash.
patronizing
I think
racist
that's-
and
So
still.
if you're a young person at college
Yeah.
and you were see all those Volt signs and you voted for Volt, what group do you want them to be a part of?
Yeah,
The nice group, the nice people
the
are
green
in,
ones, the green people.
and you do
Yeah,
nice
I mean,
things.
but it's maybe they're also thinking ahead, kind of like if the Greens are like gaining power and also in like regional and local elections.
Gaining power in Germany.
What is now? But Vote is actually planning on not being only a European thing.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
no,
They want to go. Yeah.
This guy, I forgot about this. They have one
Yeah.
seat in the local Mainz government.
See.
Yeah, and they ran in the Belgian federal and local elections that
yeah.
fucking did nothing. And they are gearing up for the Greek national elections as well. They are planning to run at like every level.
See, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So the last little thing I want to say about Volt, and we should fucking put a bow on this.
I mean, what is the Greek version of Volt going to be like? Because you have two options. You either go much further left, or you become like
Much
a
further
neo-Nazi.
right.
Yeah.
So you can't like centrism in Greece has never historically worked, and when it has quote unquote worked, it was propped up by the U.S. government, and then they didn't even like that. They overthrew that government. So
Yeah.
It's probably like rich kids from like neo-democratia families,
Yeah.
but they're like they consider themselves less racist than their dads. Mm-hmm. It's probably,
but they're still just like vehement racists.
yeah, of
Cool.
course.
yeah, well,
Progressive and racist.
the reason I brought up the U.S. I kind of didn't finish my point earlier.
Oh, sorry.
With this like projecting like the EU is like pure and good, and if you're nice and good and want to do nice things, that was also like a key point of the neoliberal turn in the U.S. Like the Republicans do stuff like Watergate and are bad, and the reaction to that is that politics and special interests are bad, and we're good, and we're going to do the good right thing. We won't lie to you.
With all the special interests.
But that was Jimmy Carter's whole thing.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of evil shit, but he's like, I won't lie to you, and that's basically what the Greens are going to be here.
We're sending money to the Mujahideen for reasons I kind of don't actually know why, but I'm telling you this face value. Wait, was that him or Reagan? I think it actually started during Carter, didn't it? Funding
Probably.
the Mujahideen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Listen to I cribbed that from the History as a Weapon. I'll put it in the show notes. It's a good listen to
So-
that.
Last thing I want to say about Volt, because I think this kind of is very, it's a very good like distillation of like what's fucking like the problem with them on the ground, which is going back to the Arte documentary where they showed it was like over the period of the documentary took place over the period of like 9 months, and they showed after the Amsterdam conference there was this one Polish girl who was really inspired and started a chapter in Warsaw. A Volt chapter in Warsaw. Thing is, though, she doesn't live in Warsaw. She lives in like the border region of Poland, like border with Germany, and she had to like the thing basically fell apart. Not because there wasn't interest, but because she couldn't always afford to like take the train halfway across the fucking country to go to Warsaw, because that was the only place it was like viable, like in the capital, to do a Volt chapter. So she's now running in. Herself is now running in Polish elections as like a Volt candidate, and she was running around her very, very small, very like PIS friendly town in the west of Poland, and she's just running around to like fucking skinheads being like, hey, I want to talk to you guys about politics. Do you guys like vote? And they're like, no, we don't vote. We think it's all bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. But like Volt has like very unfortunately like misguided her because she's not doing this correctly. She was just like, hey, what do you guys think? Here's Volt. She wasn't actually like fucking listening to any of these people and what their problems were. Volt has absolutely like no criticism of what's happening on like any like national levels. They're just like populism is bad, but like I've learned a lot by just looking into like Razem's program, like the Polish party that I support. I did not know there were like regions in Poland where like fucking labor laws do not apply, special economic zones. That was something that I learned from their manifesto. And this is the problem with Volt, is they're like inherently top down. They have like no idea what the fuck's going on in each of these individual countries. And they've like snatched up this like sweet little Polish girl who was like fucking putting in the work to try and like back a movement she thinks is like going to accomplish something.
Actually, yeah, they're saying something even like in their program. They're saying, okay, or no, not in the program, but in the interviews, they're saying, okay, we need to make decisions on the European level and then apply them to the countries.
Yeah.
And that is a like total top-down, definitely like a position. Also, it's kind of like this thing that came after neoliberalism when you said, okay, we want more privatization. More privatization equals, I don't know, more democracy.
What the fuck is left to privatize in Poland?
Yeah. But after that, when people realize that these like policies are failing because you don't have more democracy from it, they said, okay, we need more institutions because more institutions equals more democracy. And kind of like they're going this way. Okay, we need this, like, but we need it on a European level. We need to implement like these institutions. We need more NGOs. Like when they're fucking working at McKinsey, he was focusing on consulting big NGOs, big like agencies, big organizations. So kind of this take is, okay, we need all these institutions and then we're going to bring European politics to the countries without actually paying any attention to like territorial specifics or something or like specific situations of the countries. So, yeah.
Like I spent the whole documentary just dunking on them, but like just seeing that girl just walk around her fucking like dead ass Polish town with like tractors and shit, like trying to talk to fucking skinheads and make them like be hopeful for the future again.
Wow.
I mean, they are hopeful for the future.
She's kind of brave.
I just don't think they have the same idea in mind.
I think this is where for me at least, it comes full circle to like the McKinsey side of things, and especially this like certain tech thinking, because they're pretty dumb. They're very successful, but not for their own like creativity or intuition, but because they follow the rules in a certain way. But they rationalize that we have all the solutions. If we take our approach, we can tackle any problem. We can disrupt any industry. Yeah. And they don't have that many moves. What's McKinsey's move? What's Bain Capital's move to like fix the problem? You know, they just so they don't need to. So in their mind, they don't need to know all these little specific things. If you work in finance, if you work in consulting or anything,
or lawyers, a lot of them are also lawyers.
It's the thing that we talked with Tom about, is that neoliberalism has a one size fits all solution.
Yeah, exactly.
It
That's
gives you
what
the
I was
entry
referring
point
to. More institution equals more democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say more privatization anymore because nobody will applaud to that. But
I mean, Volt will.
Yeah. You can't be too like open about that.
So
call it PPPs. Getting your PPP everywhere.
Pragmatic, progressive, pan-European.
Public-private partnerships. Which one do you prefer?
To put a bow on our Volt chat, basically, I personally think, and this is the conclusion I've come to, is that they are DiEM25 but a lie, because a lot of the stuff they like crypt directly from DiEM25. Their whole like empowering citizens thing that usually manifests in like constitutional assemblies, which again was like a big thing DiEM25 did. Like just being like the first pan-European party was again kind of like a DiEM25 plan. And like whether you support DiEM25 or not, there's a lot of people on the left who think they're bullshit, and that's fine. You still have to admit Volt is just cripping their style without any of the substance, and like they criticize DiEM25 for like not being grassroots and for being top down, and that's exactly what they are. They're very top down. I don't know what any influence the party membership had on the policies. I don't think they had much. And lastly, like they don't do anything on the ground other than like occasional meet and greets. They have a much lower membership than DM25, but have a shit ton more money.
I mean, I do want to meet the children of just the most inbred people in Europe.
Come with me next Tuesday to their meet and greet, man. Drop acid.
I really want to meet fucking like Freiherr von Liechtenstein,
Hieronymus Bosch.
Damian
Yeah,
Hieronymus.
I mean, fuck.
The vampire.
Nothing. Yeah, goddamn.
Von Sudetenland. Oh god. So what else are we talking about?
So to close out today's episode, I want to bring back an old friend of ours. And since we have some new listeners, maybe you don't know this person. He doesn't get dragged enough on Twitter, although with this latest article that started to change a bit, I gleefully engaged in the pile-on because he annoys me to no end. Yeah, next stop, Jan Fleischhauer. Let's get it going. So we're going to bring him back because it's kind of a nice... It's not quite the same energy as Volt.
It is. Oh, it is.
But it's a nice pairing with Volt, I feel like, because it talks about different things. It actually engages with the idea of socialism. Ooh. And engages with history even, which Volt is just a blank slate, like whatever, buzzwords. And it just shows you how fucking dumb, how facile, and how just like ahistorical everything is. Just to put something in a nice, neat little package. I'm talking about none other than our good friend, the populist slayer, Yascha Mounk.
Mounk gang.
Okay.
Mounk gang.
For those who don't know who Yascha Mounk is, check out his Twitter, or check out our episode on populism #MounkGang
Better
from
do
a
that.
couple months ago. The whole second half of the episode is just taking down Yascha Mounk. But now we added him to the Corner Späti extended universe back then, and it's time for a reboot. It's been 8 years.
Yeah, this is the amazing Yascha Mounk. Eventually, we'll have Yascha Mounk Homecoming,
and it's a different
Despite my
flavor.
joke.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
we're reading not from his dumb book, but his whole article in The Atlantic. And now it's quite fitting that he writes for The Atlantic, because it is maybe the worst liberal magazine on foreign policy or history or anything outside of the U.S. And Yascha Mounk just fills that role beautifully. Just so beautifully. So let's see what, in America, a smart, well-read, reasonable European sounds like. The title. Sanders' speech about socialism was deeply unserious. In the senator's view, the threat of autocracy comes exclusively from the right. By Yascha Mounk. Already hitting on some of the nice, tones of his work. That autocracy only comes from the right. That you always have to worry about the left populists. They're the biggest danger in the world today.
Definitely.
How many times has he mentioned Venezuela in this article?
Let's begin. At least once.
Let's count. We have
At
shots.
least once, Nick.
Whew. Okay, I'm ready.
All 4 of my grandparents were sent to prison for their socialist convictions at some point in the 1920s or 1930s. When I was growing up in Europe, democratic countries from France to Italy were ruled by self-declared socialists. As a young activist in the Jusos, the youth organization of Germany's Social Democratic Party, I sang along wholeheartedly when my comrades would intone the Internationale at the end of rallies, rounding off each rendition with a loud shout of "Long live socialism and liberty!" Would be a nice place to end it right there.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would
Yascha Mounk is writing from some bunker in
Rehabilitated.
the 1920s as a member of the KPD.
Yeah.
The only thing that just if that was the end of the article, the only thing that looks bad is not knowing when your grandparents were killed. It's sometime in the 20s, I forget. Fuck them.
So he's proving his socialist bona fides, his bona fides. And the reason he's going to do that is because he has to explain what socialism means to him.
Of course.
And why Bernie's idea of socialism and some others' idea of socialism in the U.S. is deeply, deeply worrying.
I really love if he actually like correctly talks about owning the means of production and drags Bernie Sanders for being a social democrat.
Yep, that's exactly
Mounk gang.
Game over. It's over.
I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. He's like, I don't understand you dumb Americans. Why free healthcare is radical and socialist?
He has a point there.
But the great differences among the movements and countries that have historically called themselves socialist also makes me skeptical about leftists who think that embracing this label is enough to explain the kind of futures they want. Some members of the Democratic Socialists of America, for example, simply want to emulate the rich democracies that provide their citizens with a generous welfare state.
Okay, this is correct.
But others seek to abolish capitalism, in quotes,
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
or
no.
sing the praises of the Venezuelan dictatorship.
Okay,
Monk, why'd you
you
have
need
to at
to
me like
drink a
that?
shot now because you mentioned Venezuela.
Yeah, wait, can I make a drinking game out of
Yes.
this?
Also, I also want, like,
Please.
why are the three wings?
No, actually, because we only have gin, and I'm not.
All right, everyone at
I
home
like
drink
gin.
anytime he mentions any sort of good anti-imperialist movement around the world. You will get drunk
Wait, do we
quickly.
have anything else to drink here?
No, you want to get something?
I really like the three wings.
Now I
of the-
want to go downstairs to get a beer to finish this because this is going to become just like a thing. Of, like, did he mention Stalin? Did he mention Nicolas Maduro?
Oh, yeah.
Does he
Let's
mention,
make-
you know, the
Just
Czech
pretend you're
Republic?
drinking. Let's.
I'll give myself tallies, and then,
and then you'll just down a
I'll
beer.
down an entire beer. It's a reason for me to have another beer.
I really like that his analysis of the DSA is that there are three equal factions: social democrats, genuine democratic socialists, and then people who just really like Venezuela. Those are all equal sides of this movement.
The Holy
Yes.
Trinity, baby.
But this is just. I mean, first of all, the DSA is just a wonderful bugaboo for any all of these like liberal newspapers and magazines. They love talking about the DSA, profiling them, going to their little parties, writing about them because like this is the dangerous undercurrent right now in the US.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking people with rose emojis on Twitter are definitely the most fearful thing in the U.S. right now.
What you need, though, is America's doing it wrong. What you need is like 10,000 really small, actually communist institutions that all hate each other and no one in the media pays attention to because it's like five guys in a room punching sparrows.
Yes, please.
Why don't Americans get that?
But Yascha Mounk, he's a little disappointed in Americans who are going into dangerous territory and not real socialism.
The
So
Red
let
Scare.
Yascha Mounk, the well-read European.
I mean, so far, I got to agree with him at least in the sense that
He's just stating facts.
he is
Yeah.
stating the fact that Bernie Sanders is.
There's a line
He's
struggle within
He's
the
a little bit of a
DSA.
clout shark, to be completely honest. Like, Yascha Mounk calling out the clout sharks. Good.
Anybody
I'm
who
engaged.
has studies the history of Europe, or for that matter Latin America, should know that some socialists crafted systems that left virtually no space to private enterprise
Good.
and crushed the political freedoms of dissenters.
I mean,
But-
also good because they're probably capitalists in my book.
I like anyone who studies the history of Europe and especially South America. The CIA is great. Everyone loves them.
If you took a shot every time you mentioned the CIA, you would be very sober. While others combined government benefits with a robust market economy and the rule of law. We missed the beginning of the sentence because you guys
Because the
jumped in.
Soviet Union had no rule
But
of
he
law.
said
like, it
there
was
are
just
some
complete
socialists-
anarchy.
There are some socialists
Cool.
who combine government benefits and the market economy. That's that classic socialism we know and love.
Yeah.
What mattered was not whether a party or movement called itself socialist, but whether it recognized the danger of autocracy and carefully formulated limiting principles that would stop it from going down the same path as the Soviet Union.
So the good path.
So activists who hope to
The only
mainstream
path.
socialism in American politics must, at the very least, make clear what exactly is they mean by the term. Fair enough.
Yep, that's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had a few stupid takes, but all in all,
Yeah,
he came back to the
so-
point that I agree with him about.
This is why I was very hopeful when Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign announced that the candidate would hold a major speech on how democratic socialism is the only way to defeat oligarchy and authoritarianism. After years of using the term about as imprecisely as many of his followers, I hope that Sanders would finally set out why it holds such importance to him, what role the market would play in the socialist system he promises to build, and how he can protect his political project against the Soviet risk.
Okay, so at this point, I'm just more perplexed as to why he's fucking real horny for the market. Like, it's just, he's not even hiding it though. He's just like,
Nope.
but why is it? It's literally the bit from The Simpsons of like, whenever Poochie's not on camera, everyone has to say, "Where's Poochie?
Where's the market?
Where's the market?"
Hey, he's saying the Internationale in Germany, so he's the real socialist.
Oh,
all right, check
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
He
People
knows
forget
what
about that
socialism is.
verse in the Internationale, which
Well, they
talks
like
about
to
like
do that when they're young. And then
if you don't like your job, just move to another one.
So, and then of course that current present risk of the Soviet Union they have to guard against.
Wait, what?
The Soviet Union is helpful. Will gladly help your 2020 U.S. election. It's like, Soviet Union. I thought you guys broke up.
Here's the turn, guys.
Shit, I was studying the wrong shit. Apparently,
Still here.
All right.
I can't say he met my expectations.
Wow.
Disappointing.
For those who don't know, Sanders gave a speech. What does democratic socialism mean
It's
to
stupid.
him?
It's so fucking dumb.
It's almost as dumb as that mind-boggling social media campaign about how Trump is the real socialist.
Yeah, the Sanders campaign, like,
That's great.
I don't know,
That's
like, I,
fucking great,
you know,
guys.
I gotta support the boy because there really isn't another option in the U.S. for the Democrats. But I don't know who the fuck he's been talking to, and I don't know who the fuck tells him that, like, oh, by the way, every year that you run, you need to do a speech about democratic socialism, but make it nationalistic. Like, make it about how the U.S. has always been socialist and how the best heroes in the United States, like John F. Kennedy and Harry Truman and Martin Luther King Jr., who actually is the only socialist of that group, who had massive campaigns to rid socialism in the United States and abroad, actually were secret socialists.
Well, it seems like that's kind of what Yascha Mounk wants, but he's still not quite happy with Bernie Sanders for some reason. He says that he was happy that Sanders says that access to basic social and economic goods is a precondition for being able to live. Are you truly free if you're unable to go to the doctor? Are you truly free if you cannot afford the prescription drug? All that good stuff. In Mounk's analysis, this is a classic leftist critique of unbridled capitalism, and it contains much of the force it had back in the days of Karl Marx.
Okay.
But
Which I was there for. I am Yascha Mounk. I am eternal.
We're missing the point that he says Karl Marx is a critique of unbridled capitalism. And Karl Marx's whole thing was, yeah, you should have basic social democracy. That's what Karl Marx said.
This, like, thing that didn't even exist in Karl Marx.
Well, it's a social
But he
democratic
didn't-
manifesto.
He didn't acknowledge, this is back to Sanders, in this section or elsewhere, the ways in which the suppression of free markets has repeatedly fostered a different kind of oppression over the past century. Where's the market?
Where's the market?
Where's Poochie?
Here's where it gets good. I hope you have your drinks ready. Virtually all socialist movements have claimed to embrace democracy, as Sanders did with a perfunctory reference to the Bill of Rights. What separated, say, the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, who ended up crushing political opponents, from the French socialists.
Because they were like Nazis. Like, fuck off. Like,
who respected the right to dissent and was in good part, French socialists who respected the right to dissent, the reasons they did that, was in good part their attitude toward markets.
wait,
Socialists who
wait,
nationalized
fuck,
large parts of the economy.
No, stop it, Rob. He compared the Sandinistas, who were literally gunned down by U.S. fascist organizations, who then used their tactic of going into like towns, as like we kind of talked about earlier, and just like murdering the head of the local fascist organization as a tactic to, like, you know, is it terror or whatever? Yeah, but at the same time, like, they were a guerrilla socialist movement who the U.S. had a massive campaign against. He's comparing them with the fucking pussy doctrine of the French Socialist Party.
Yep.
Who are the good ones?
Fuck, yeah, the shitty ones. The Sandinistas are good.
Sometimes the good one.
the contempt he has for like actually like anti-imperialist movements around the world, and the respect he has for the fucking French socialists. I don't even know which French socialists he's referring to here with capital F,
They're
capital S.
Probably
French
Hollande's
socialists.
party.
Yeah. The
Which
one
is
who
now
was like
bankrupt.
who ended with a fucking approval rating of 12.
Yep.
Like the most unpopular president ever in the history of that fucking country.
Oh,
which
no.
is very hard to
Sitting
do.
president.
But he had a
Sitting
reason.
fine.
There's some past presidents that like the ones who led VT.
But you know, he's just
Yeah, true.
honestly, Mounk is just applying the rules of Marxism and socialism.
Yep.
Socialists who nationalized large parts of the economy and severely restricted the functioning of the market crushed freedom in two ways. First, they made it impossible for citizens to engage in private economic initiatives.
That was the entire point.
Yeah.
Like, he does not get what socialism is.
And second, they quickly started to abuse the power to take away the livelihood of political opponents.
Depends
This
on which era.
history makes it all the more important for Sanders to be clear on the kind of role he envisaged.
What?
He envisaged, and I don't know how to say that in a German accent. He envisages for the market and the society he's setting out to create. What forms of private economic initiative would be allowed?
Okay, hang on. Wait. Does he think in like the Nordic countries, like if one of the members of the opposition gets sick, like one of the members of the government, like if the ruling party just comes in and is like, you want some of this national health service, do you?
I know exactly.
No dice.
the demand that Sanders like define what is still going to be privatized, and it's like literally everything except like healthcare.
Yascha
Literally everything else is probably still going to be privatized.
Yeah, Yascha Monk's coming along and is like, but I wanted to start a road company. I was going to make my own trains. Yascha trains. Mounk where you need to mounk now. We'll work on the slogan later.
All right, here we go. So then he kind of does a little bit of a thesis statement before broadening out into his sort of analysis.
Oh, goody.
Where are the markets?
This
Where
wasn't his
are the
analysis.
markets?
Was downright disdainful of the notion that the speech on socialism and authoritarianism should seriously grapple with the long history of socialist movements that have ended in dictatorship. In his view, the threat of autocracy comes exclusively from the right. Just as in the 1930s, America and the world are once again moving towards authoritarianism. This danger is driven by right-wing forces of oligarchy, corporatism, nationalism, racism, xenophobia. The only answer that will save our fascism is, you guessed it, democratic socialism.
Like, this is so stupid, Rob. Why?
Don't worry.
I'm mad at you again.
It gets better. Thus, Sanders name-checked Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, but remained silent about Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong. And while he rightly criticized the autocratic tendencies of Russia's Vladimir Putin, China's Xi Jinping, Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman, the Philippines' Rodrigo Duterte, Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro, and Hungary's Viktor Orban, he neglected to mention leftist autocrats, such as Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro,
Yeah, drink.
Cuba's Raul Castro, Nicaragua's
come on,
Daniel
Raul.
Ortega, Zimbabwe's Emerson Mnangagwa.
He just literally like went onto
What?
he went into the internet with like which governments are controlled.
Also, like,
Go
Or
ahead.
North
South
Korea's
America.
Kim Jong-un.
fuck this list. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Wait,
but, like,
he puts Kim Jong-un like with Raul Castro in one.
I love how
Or
no,
the most socialist ruler in the world, the line of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. If only.
sometimes ISIS wins.
That's a good guy.
Fuck. Okay, so fuck this disingenuous bullshit because Xi Jinping would have been on the socialist list if he hadn't mentioned him in the speech. 100% guaranteed. Like, suddenly, like, this is always centrist criticism whenever they have to punch left or punch right. It's the fucking, what is it? What's the cat experiment again? The cat in the box. What's that called? Schrodinger's fucking Xi Jinping. Where, like, is Xi Jinping left wing or right wing? Well, it depends whether we're punching left or punching right. Fuck, it's the Atlantic, so it's definitely, he's right wing. So he's right wing for the purposes of this argument.
The worst part about all of this is that Sanders was being very hurtful to people who have legitimate concerns about populism. Anybody who is hoping for a clear account of the differences between Sanders' political ambitions and those of autocratic socialist regimes is a fellow traveler of Richard Nixon, Newt Gingrich, John Boehner, Donald Trump, and the Heritage Foundation. So he's saying you're just as bad. Anyone who has any critiques of Sanders, wow, you're automatically the same as all of these right-wing people. That's what Yascha Mounk feels threatened and hurt and can't be alone right now.
Well, because what does this argumentation go to? It fuels this red baiting right wing argument. Like there's nothing else. Like given, yes, Sanders sucks and you should critique him from the left. Good, yeah. But saying that then, Sanders is bad because he's a socialist is a fucking Heritage Foundation argument that they've been doing for 30 years now. Like, yeah, you are exactly that Yascha Mounk, or, Yascha Mounk, head of the Tony Blair Foundation for Tony Blair being Tony Blair. Please don't at Tony Blair for war crimes.
Tony Blair.
But it gets down to what socialism is for Yascha Mounk, and I think the next couple paragraphs really nail it home. Because socialism is not any revolutions or anti-imperialist movements or anyone who has actually challenged capital.
It's just a vibe, man.
It's just it is just a vibe.
Oh, God.
Because who does he introduce? Over the past few months, Senator Elizabeth Warren has issued a series of ambitious proposals for economic reform.
No, she hasn't.
And explains it. But Warren has argued that she is seeking to rescue rather than bury capitalism. And she has clearly articulated that the market has an important role to play in the country she hopes to build. In fact, many of her proposals are as much about ensuring that there is true competition in areas like tech as they are about restricting the operation of free markets. In this regard, Warren is the heir of some of the most successful left-wing movements of the 20th century.
Who? What?
Whether they call themselves socialists, social democrats, or progressives, figures such as Germany's Willy Brandt, Britain's Clement Attlee, and America's Franklin Delano Roosevelt were clear about the benefits of markets
was an absolute piece of shit
and forthright about the dangers of left-wing authoritarianism.
Wait. So, wait. Step back again. He is saying that the anti-authoritarian model for the left should be Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who consolidated the most power at the federal level in the United States in history. Like, the reason that the imperial presidency exists is because of Roosevelt. And communists and socialists of that era hated Roosevelt, and they hated the New Deal.
They weren't socialists, dude.
Yeah, sorry, they were Xi Jinping.
Gotta stop punching left on our left-wing comedy podcast, Nick. Jesus.
Socialism, to Yascha Mounk, the smart socialism understander, who's saying the Internationale, is not Bernie Sanders, which, okay, agreed. But it's not, it is Elizabeth Warren, it's Willy Brandt, which is just being like the most like anti-communist you can possibly be.
Yeah.
It's all these people.
It is being a fucking right-wing idiot
who give you social democracy while red baiting faster than you can even. It's so fast it gives you whiplash. That is socialism. But what really gets me about Yascha Mounk's whole argument is that he says at the beginning, "I love socialism. I'm a socialist," but then he says socialism means stopping unbridled capitalism. So socialism is capitalism. It's like fucking Orwellian, even. Like, he's saying they're the same thing. Yeah. Like, socialism, it also works when he says, whatever you call yourself, progressive, social democrat, it doesn't matter. As long as you agree, there's some role for the market, then you too are a socialist. Socialist is just maybe if you like it a little more, you're a little closer. It's like in Russian when you call them like Sasha instead of Alexander. It's like, you're closer. It's like, you call it socialism. They can call it, checked on capitalism. But we know it's real socialism.
I hate him so much.
What I love about this is just how much they're willing to fucking throw a hissy fit over what is like modest social democratic changes to the United States. This is them fucking wilding out. Like, Sanders comes along, mentions a bunch of policies that would be massively beneficial to the United States, would turn it into something that I agree is not what I would call socialism, but still a step in the right direction for the United States.
Because the U.S. is just so fucked.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But there's even some European countries that need this shit, or need someone to reaffirm the lot of social democracy that Europe was supposedly built on. But then at the same time, they fucking wild out and call him Stalin. Or compare, why didn't you mention Stalin? Every time you say Hitler, you have to say Stalin. That's the rules now. I'm Yascha Mounk. Mm-hmm. What the fuck is this? You have to actually you have to write this fucking Atlantic piece because someone is doing something very basic in terms of proposals.
What gets me is that the whole point of the Sanders speech was appealing, maybe not to Yascha Mounk directly, not to reporters directly, but Sanders is bending over backwards to accommodate these people. No, we're democratic. No, we're democratic. We're democratic socialism. We're not like the scary socialists. We're democratic socialism. And Yascha Mounk is still no, still scary.
He's still scared.
Yeah,
he had to hide.
I mean, to be
Under
fair,
blanket.
I think I'm the only person who watched the thing, like the entire speech here.
I read
I'm
the
sorry.
transcript.
Okay, you read the transcript.
Wow.
God, I'm proud of you.
I
yeah,
just read
I mean,
Yascha Mounk.
the thing, like, ultimately, the thing that I don't
Review.
get with Yascha Mounk then is that Sanders wants to emulate exactly the New Deal. Like, it's nothing more than that, which does not even challenge capitalism. Like, Sanders, in my fair opinion, does not go far enough. And honestly, he can't go further enough without then a grassroots left-wing consensus, which has existed in the United States. And what I wanted to mention about the New Deal is that there was a massive group of particularly black communists and anarchists in Alabama who, if we, because we like to really whitewash the history of the New Deal, but the New Deal was incredibly racist.
Yeah.
The way that it was done was primarily to, one, save capitalism. It was not done as like a massive social welfare thing to get the United States out of, capitalism into the next thing, because Franklin Roosevelt was just as much afraid of socialism and fascism as, Yascha Mounk is clearly. Sorry. Oh, the thing with the African American community is that then they had to fend for themselves more or less, and had to do like community not just community organizing, but had to feed themselves because the programs they were never affected by. All the great New Deal things that then just reinvigorated the economy, which you can even make an argument that that the New Deal didn't fully kick in until the United States starts weapons manufacturing for World War II, just to show how capitalism and expansion of empire directly connected. There isn't like this is just complete. I don't even know. It just makes me mad. Like I can't really like get an actual thought on it because I'm just so mad about the fact that then this is exactly actually what Sanders wants.
Well, what's so patronizing to me is the way he looks at sort of any movement except the fucking French socialists with like this complete disdain that they would like engage in violence or do anything like that. Like, I'm sure if he looked at those organizers, the like poor blacks in the 1930s in the South, he would say like,
hate them.
Yeah, they were violent because they were doing like grassroots anti-fascist work against the KKK. Like this sort of assumption that like, yeah, socialism is when you follow this exact recipe that I have right here that, the French socialists can do it. Why can't you in Nicaragua? What's wrong with you? They just aren't real socialists.
All the same.
They're just authoritarian like the Soviets.
One French socialism fits all.
Yeah, it's just like, that's fucking baffling to me.
Oh, I hate French sizes. They never work. But like, there's nothing socialist about what he's saying. Like, he's not even, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, Rob, because you've gone through the whole article, but like, has he even like said that like nationalizing? I guess he had that glib line about like universal healthcare being good. That's the only thing. But he's not like, he's kind of said like nationalizing businesses is kind of scary every time he.
Well, his thesis is even stronger than that. His thesis is, if you get rid of the market, you will become authoritarian, and the market is a liberating force
So
to
it's like a
keep
check
liberty.
and balance the thing
it is. The market
to not
brings
become
a degree of liberty.
Oh, that's
the market
interesting.
can never create just like an absolute techno-fascist.
But when you put it
No,
that way,
not
it's
at all.
fucking mind-boggling that Yascha Mounk is not alone in this. I mean,
oh no, that is mainstream American thought right
and
there.
also, I know he left the
Academia.
SPD, but this like
Well, yeah.
get in line with its market fetishization.
I love like, okay, so we're like criticizing Sanders a little bit for like democratic socialism. No, I meant democratic. I meant democratic. Well, shit, that might actually work because the entire U.S. modern history is free market. No, I meant free. Forget the market bit. You're free. You're free to be fired from your job and die in the street.
I mean, yeah, Sanders' speech though was garbage. Don't watch it. Don't read Yascha Mounk's article either. Are we done with it or?
Yeah, it's over.
Okay. Whew, thank God.
I just like to point out that he's a professor. He writes in the Atlantic all the time, and maybe he's kind of mostly mad that Bernie Sanders didn't mention populism in his speech and consult Yascha Mounk because
it's just his favorite topic.
He's considered a smart lad, a smart boy. Everyone loves Yascha Mounk.
Yeah,
gotta get him quoted. Gotta get him at your.
It's not our fucking fault that you can't make a career anymore in a word that meant nothing to begin with.
Oh, he's still making a career.
Team populism.
He's working at the Tony Blair War Crimes Institute, writing these nonsensical articles that then like every fucking bougie pretend leftist will read and then be like, oh, actually, I'm the good socialist because I like markets. And that's it. No one seriously reads The Atlantic. No, like
No
they
one.
don't. No, really. Like,
They're all just fake subscribers reading it because it's fun.
They're all dentists, and they put them in the waiting room.
Literally, like it is such a like the only like with all these magazines, it's just an insular group of people who then can talk about the recent article that they read in the Atlantic to their fellow friends. Like the real maniacs read things like Foreign Policy magazine or like National Review and whatnot. The Atlantic has no, like, at least in my opinion, compared to the conservative wage of quote unquote, you know, intelligentsia, these magazines are just for rich people in New York. Like, that's it.
Which is on the Atlantic.
Wow.
Get it now.
It's always been that. Like, the magazine's never been...
always
New
been
York
on
has
the...
always been on the
Yeah,
Atlantic.
exactly.
Of course, no, but the Atlantic has always been exactly that. It's been a magazine that you can read to pretend that you're smart. So you can, like, bring it up at a cocktail party because that's what you do as a you know, rich socialite.
It's interesting you say that because I was reading this article in the Atlantic.
What was...
Well, there it is, boys and girls and everyone else. I cut that. All genders listening. Sorry.
And that was another episode.
That's Yascha Mounk.
That's Yascha Mounk Gang. That was another episode on primarily centrism, I guess.
Well, we should shout out just quickly that, well, first of all, the Deutsche Wohnen update, since we're updating all the shitty parts of our extended universe, we'll update the better parts too. The Deutsche Wohnen und Co. Enteignen campaign finished their first phase. They had way more signatures than they needed. And as a nice little coincidence, there's a rent freeze passed in Berlin for 5 years that is pissing off all of the right people and telling people, and everyone's screaming that you don't understand economics. But it'll be good. Your rents can't go up for 5 years. In Berlin.
What's the German for Google Venezuela? What's the
Venezuela
German?
Google.
What?
The joke.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Damn it.
Unruined.
I'll send it to the joke prison. It's fine. Yeah, and shout out to Melty Brains for letting us use their theme song, New Dawn. It's a banger. You can find it on Spotify.
Oh, and if you want to like actually learn about like a courageous anti-imperialist movement, there is a very good interview on Rev Left Radio with Alex Avina, a professor in the U.S., about the Sandinistas, and it's actually informative and interesting, and actually
Professor
socialist.
at where I went to university.
Hell yeah, baby!
Do you know who else is
State, baby.
Do you know who else is a professor? Yascha Mounk.
Yascha Mounk.
Yo, we gotta have like a professor duel, man.
Oh, he would like.
Yeah, that'd be so insulting
that
to.
would- Oh God, no. Yeah. Also, I don't know if we mentioned this before. Just one last little thing. If you caught us on Jack AM, thank you. Like, we very much appreciate that. If you haven't, you can also go back in the back catalog. I don't remember what day we were on.
Wednesday.
It was Wednesday.
Wednesday the 12th or 13th. The 12th.
That's the 12th.
Yeah. So if you want to see your unfortunately it's just the boys because Yulia was in the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah, we went on the show. They were very, very, very kind. Had a great time, and hopefully we could be on there again. I really enjoyed it. But yeah so
Fun. End the episode.
okay. Yeah, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.